Everybody, welcome back. Talking about the latest Fix MSF movement update, which was done in response to the Friday, February 7th blog post from FoxNext. We got a post on Reddit we're going to go over a little bit. We're going to talk about how we're doing. Basically, the movement, as you can see, is working. The communication that we've got from FoxNext so far is, I'd call it, dare I say, an all-time high? Might say that. I think I'm going to say that. So it's pretty clear that what we're doing is working. Without the, all the alliances, I think it's 600 plus or 500 plus, 15,000 plus people. All the things that this group is doing together is clearly making some headway, I'll call it bringing FoxNext to the table, so to speak. It feels, and we mentioned this in the Reddit post, but it feels cautiously optimistic. And I will say that I understand we've heard from FoxNext before with words and, whether it was, something on Reddit or, a blog post, etc. We have seen some things that are a little bit more committal from them. We're going to go over that in the response. But anyway, for those of you who are supporting the movement, we want to thank you very much. It has been a beautiful thing to see FoxNext react to us in this way, to get certain things moving in the right direction. And without this big group, we wouldn't be able to make the progress we had. So good job, everybody who's supporting it. Anybody who's thinking about supporting it, please jump on board. Anybody who's not supporting it, please don't shame those people. They can make their own decisions. They do what they want to do. You're not going to get everybody on board for a certain cause or movement. I'd say 99% of the time you're not going to get that. So anyway, let's get to the video and look at what we got.
Bring me Wolverthor!
Okay, so on Friday we got this blog post from FoxNext. I'm not going to go over this thing in detail. It talks about some different things. The part that really, hit is talking about the economy improvements, and that there's the last week's blog post about the roadmap for these different things. Again, they're re-emphasizing some of the things they talked about here. They clarify the farmable character cadence a little bit, just that it's, hoping for at least 2. Personally, I think there's still some, things that we'd like to see better here. The net loss concept behind this is just, it's like if you introduce 3 to 4 characters a month and you only, make available 1 to 2 or maybe 3 a month, depending how that overlaps, you're still net losing every month. So anyway, it'd be nice to see kind of FoxNext understand some of that. And that means, what FoxNext is having a problem with, well, we don't only have so many spots to put them. Okay, well, rotate a Nebula off of a node more often, or a Kree minion off of a node for a Graviton or for a Ghost Rider or something. Like, even if it's for a month, it's like, put it on there for a month. Say that character is going to be farmable for a month on that node. You're not going to be able to farm, Kree minion number 2. You're going to be able to farm Ghost Rider for 1 month on that node. Great. Super duper. So anyway, and then this to me is the big part, and we'll get into this in our response from the Fix MSF movement, is the node on red stars. Essentially what this says is that, well, first let me say is that it takes, in my opinion, the strongest people out there are those who admit their wrongdoing. It's not those who are always like, I cannot be defeated, I am the strongest. It's those who show when they've made a mistake or illustrate their weaknesses. Those are truly, in my opinion, the strongest people out in the world. Not to say that FoxNext is the strongest or anything like that, because we've still got a lot of room to grow there, all right? So let's be careful what you say there. Anyway, but the point of this is that they admit they've basically didn't handle red stars properly with the tuning, that they've let them sit for too long in this manner, and that they're going to move up and focus these type of changes quickly. They're going to make a change within the next 2 weeks. So that is huge. The fact that they're responding to the movement in this way, I think, is really telling. Hopefully, now again, we'll get into it in the comments that we got for the response, but hopefully the changes that they're going to make are good and make it so that we're able to target. So the big date on this is February 21st for these red stars. So Next couple weeks are going to be big in this regard. So anyway, let's get to the Fix MSF movement response. Okay, so on this response, it was posted about 17 hours ago by some Wolverthor character. It goes through, we've got a few different paragraphs here we're talking about. We'll go over these, we'll read it, and we'll touch a couple of the comments below just to see kind of how the community is receiving it. So it says, hashtag FixMSF is strong, hashtag FixMSF is working. We all believe in this movement and its collective power. Please keep in mind that this is a process and requires a level-headed and focused approach to communication. As we push forward, we also need to be mindful of being collaborative and allowing ourselves to maintain our identity and integrity. And those type of things are really critical when you're talking about trying to work anything out with someone, whether it's a negotiation, a discussion, just where you're on the opposite end of the fence, and you want to bring both sides of the party to an eventual resolution. Thursday saw additions and changes to the game in terms of gold, challenges, and store content. We believe that these are parts of a cumulative effort that is needed to address the overall economy, but is by no means a fix yet, and that's important. It's nice, but it's not an overall fix. The choke points in the economy were too major to be addressed by a couple of minor tweaks, and all bottlenecks still need more improvement. Couldn't say that anymore, emphasize that more. It's absolutely the case. And again, you don't need to have everything right away immediately. That's not the case. But there's a spectrum over here where something takes 24 years to do. And there's something over here that takes 2 to 3 years to do. Okay? So when you're over at the 24 or even the 9-year mark, it's like, and you're talking about, okay, well, this is still, can we get, let's get to this 1 to 2 year mark, or how about 6 to 12 month mark or something, or 8+ month mark. When you're talking 9 years, it's going, okay, that's silly. In addition, this process movement is meant to immediately benefit all of the community. We believe the recent challenge tier additions are only of a benefit to the top 1% of the players given their difficulty. And that's critical. That's something that the movement has been preaching all along. Some people are trying to contest that a bit, but this is a prime example of the movement really sticking by that. It's like, we got these challenges. Yay, it's something to do. Yay, it's, my 5 million plus collection power can actually do these or attempt them, whereas anybody below that might not. So it's like, no, look, this is not for everybody. We're looking for something for everybody here. These challenges contain turn meter manipulation, misleading power rankings. On that point, I just watched Chewburger try to kill a Ghost Rider that was 70k power. Chew, I think, has a 5 or 6 Red Star Storm, had her fully charged at 15 charges, nuked the Ghost Rider, and didn't kill him. And that Ghost Rider was allegedly 70k. Moving on. And inaccurate kits. Cyclops disrupts on his basic attack, for example. Now, FoxNext has brought this up. They understand it. They're talking about how they're going to figure that out, but essentially they're not changing it right now because it sounds like it would make the challenge even more difficult. So anyway, they're obviously aware of that based on seeing what we've got here. These challenges are not accessible for all players. We would like to see implementation of systems that affect the community as a whole and not just spenders or longtime players. In addition, these challenges are a good example of a key point the movement is trying to make. The difficulty increase is exponential and the rewards are only slightly increased. The effort needed for each challenge tier should be appropriately reflected in its rewards. The juice worth the squeeze. Again, a big point that this movement has been trying to make is that, we've got rewards linear, difficulty exponentially increasing. We also believe that most of these challenge tiers were already in progress and our current player outcry helped accelerate the release. Due to the outdated kits and turn meter manipulation in play there, we can only assume these were worked on some time ago and were not added to the game promptly. That kind of goes without saying a little bit, but we wanted to make sure to emphasize that point where it's kind of like, look, for any of those arguing, hey, they gave you the challenge tiers, it's like, time out a bit. Like, look, we get, and it's pretty clear that these have been worked on. Yes, you might have pushed them up for us, and thank you, appreciated that for some content and some challenges and some things to do. Let's not make this more than it is as far as giving this movement, something that's like, hey, look, we did this for you. It's like, you might have pushed it up for us, but let's not act like you added these things that you weren't working on before. You clearly had the kits of an old Cyclops in here. Let's see here. Gold orb changes were a welcome change, albeit long overdue and still not near what is needed to actually address that bottleneck. The extra gear in the supply store will help as well, but again, will strain our gold in new ways. And again, go to my gold video. I go for, it's a 24-year mark to get all these different things that aren't even maxing all of your characters. Even if you bring that down to a different number, it's a 9-year thing. That's madness. It's madness, madness, madness. Okay, if this game is around in 9 years, that is amazing. But, and that's without even adding new tunes. So anyway, let's see what else we got. Friday was something different, and this is the point that I was making earlier. In their blog, this is FoxNext blog, they gave a specific deadline to announce plans to address red stars, one of the main issues facing the game currently. Of anything, this was the biggest sign of faith from them so far. Cautiously optimistic, in quotes, is the best way to describe our mindset, given FoxNext's track record over the last 2 years. And what we're saying by this is that there's a broken trust between at least the people in this movement and a lot of people in the game and FoxNext as far as things they've said and then not followed through on or changed, etc. And so the movement stance is like, okay, this is a little bit different with committing to some changes here in a couple weeks. So let's just remain cautiously optimistic about this and see what happens. If FoxNext prioritizes a meaningful and appropriate solution in this area as promised, the community will be grateful. And I clearly agree with that. We have seen many promises and small improvements, but nothing of true significance has changed in game yet. And that's an important point for anybody who's like, they're giving you this, they're giving you... Nothing of true significance has changed yet that really moves that dial to make people feel good. While optimistic, we are waiting to see what further steps FoxNext will take to make true on these promises. At the current moment, we see no reason to call for either escalation or de-escalation of our plan of action. We are in this for the long haul, and we are holding strong on the spending strike. We are in this for the long haul and holding firm on the spending strike. So the Fix MSF movement is still on a spending strike. We are committed now. We are as committed now as we ever were to making MSF the best version of itself, and look forward to FoxNext's continued efforts to improve the game for all levels of players. So overall, pretty, it's not a point-by-point response, and that was intentional. Really just looking to kind of hit some brief points, saying, hey, look, we recognize some things that are happening here. Appreciate it, given some history. It's like, we're just going to be cautiously optimistic here. Let's see what happens in a couple weeks. We're going to just remain as is at the moment and see what we get. So that we put that out on, was it yesterday? Really wanted to make sure to have a level-headed and thought-out approach in response. And then I read some of this last night at a party I ran to, and social life, who thinks about that anymore, right? I mean, got to be playing MSF 7 hours a day. So I got to read some of these, but didn't get to read it until some of the rest till now. So let's see, exponentially scaling for linear rewards. Good on you guys for pointing that out. They're talking about happy people are realizing that. I was watching RevenX's on Twitch last night, and Tony made a good point on that voice chat during the stream. What they did, and this is Tony saying this, is what they did in announcing a rework to Red Stars isn't giving us flowers. It's promising that later on they'll give us flowers. Let's wait and see what they actually do before giving them credit. That's a great point, and Tony's a big part of this movement and actually helped bring that point up and helped in discussing the post above. There's a lot of people who were involved in that, and Tony was one of them. They give us, and then so these folks are responding kind of that comment. Let's see, I propose we toss Dark Dimension 2. It's clearly something that's in the game at the moment that could be reused frequently. Rewards from Gold Orb should have been doubled. In summary, just follow Tony Bing's first Braveheart video and hold. That's a good summary. If you haven't seen Tony Bing's videos, definitely check them out. They're hilarious with the Braveheart stuff he's doing. A lot of good fun in that. He's talking with the other folks who are being made light of in that, and they understand it's made in jest, and there's not any ill will there that's intentional towards anybody who's put in that. So Let's see. We also believe the most changes in the game. Okay, so this is a good point. So some of those that definitely the most changes the game has had in months, and it's all happened because of this boycott. Good job to you all so far. So any of you who are involved in the movement, who are trying to, maybe wondering how well is this doing, I'm not really sure, this is frustrating, this point to me is really what we got to remember to push on. We are getting more communication from FoxNext than we ever have. We are getting more changes immediately in the game than we ever have, and it's because of this movement as a group, and staying firm and really pushing this narrative going forward. So let's stick together the best we can there, and again, don't shame anybody who's not in it. That's their decision, but it is working. Great support response. Support your movement. Let's see here. If there was an easy way to solve the gold issue effectively, I would say it's too many gold drops. Scale with your commander level for campaign. They're talking about a great start, being free to play. A few weeks has felt crazy good. So, free to play players supporting the movement and really appreciating everything. Accurately reflects my own sentiments. Agree 100%. The game's progression model and all games like it is a law of diminishing returns in action. Across the board in every facet, as you spend resources, you have to spend increasingly more and get less and less. Totally go and even with that model, if this is the typical model, and this is where you kind of want it, let's hope for something in the middle, so to speak, right? And let's get that. Well said. And it's, again, I wanted to emphasize this to anybody who said this. This was not me, even though I posted this. This is a group. This is a big group. It's hundreds of alliances. It's over 15,000 people in it. This is a group of people. So while there might be 10 to 15 people that put this narrative together and put this write up together, it looks at everybody. We talk to people, we talk to responses, we read the responses, and that's why you'll get we got to think through that to really kind of look at things. You digest it initially, see what you think, see what some folks are saying, digest it some more, and then put something very thoughtful together. So, and then most importantly, this is the way, this is the way, this is the way. I always love those when those pop up. So there's 256 comments. I could go on and go on for this. I'm sure you guys don't want me to read every single one in here, but it's clearly still being supportive. It supported a movement on Reddit, which is a feat in itself. We got 596 upvotes in 17 hours, 126 comments on this thing. So that's kind of where we're at the moment. We're going to keep pushing strong, holding firm. Let us know what you're thinking about it. I'll put the link in the description below for the Fix MSF movement Discord. Please come join us. And again, don't shame people who are not in this movement. They don't deserve it. They may make their own decisions, and let's just let them be. But yeah, come talk to us, see what you think, support, give us your thoughts, ideas, suggestions, and let's make the Marvel Strike Force game as best we can and a place we can all enjoy. And, just every Saturday or Sunday when we get those rewards in the end of the season, be able to enjoy it as opposed to just, looking to replace whoever quit because they got frustrated. So stay strong, and until next time, I hope you guys have a fantastic day.